kid's spoon clinks against ceramic. 3 times, pause, 3 times again. Always the same rhythm with the cereal bowl. I used to think of it as background music for mornings. Steady percussion to go with the whistle of the kettle, the buzz of the old refrigerator, the hum of suburbia waking up. But today it hits different. The sound scrapes sharp, like steel dragged across bone. Every clink jars my teeth. I'm at the kitchen sink, staring through blinds that need washing, when the first shift in the air announces itself. One breath. That's all it takes. It tastes like blood, like I bit my tongue hard enough to draw copper. My mouth fills with that metallic sting you get at the dentist when they polish too close to the gums. Something's wrong with the milk, the kid says. His spoon hovers above soggy cornflakes, eyes squinting at the bowl as if concentration alone can change the taste. Little fingers wrap the spoon handle, so tight his knuckles match the chipped rim of the bowl, white on white. I take a step closer, barefoot across linoleum that squeaks in betrayal. Been meaning to fix that soft spot for months. I lean in. The taste clings heavier on my tongue now, spreading, coating. It's not just the milk. It's the air itself. I lie anyway. Tastes fine to me. The words leave my mouth like smoke, thin and unconvincing. That's the first rule of parenting, isn't it? Convince yourself before you convince the kid. But he's right. The air feels wrong. It coats my teeth, seeps down my throat, makes my spit feel thick and wrong. Outside, Mrs. Patterson's ceramic gnomes stand guard in her garden. 7 of them. Their paints chipped from decades of sun and frost, but their grins stay frozen, manic, eternal. They huddle around her roses, which should be red and blooming, but instead look yellowed at the edges, wilting under skies that haven't given us real rain in weeks. Mrs. Patterson herself steps out onto the porch, the screen door snapping behind her with a bang that makes me flinch. She carries a hose coiled like a snake, unwinding it with arthritic hands. The nozzle catches a fragment of sunlight, flaring briefly before the clouds shift. For a moment there's a rainbow in her mist, gone just as quick. Her weather radio crackles from the porch railing. The same cheerful voice we've heard all week, the same one that promised rain that never came. Routine atmospheric disturbance, it chirps. Static chews up half the words. Air quality, normal parameters. Normal. Always normal. She notices me peeking through the blinds, lifts her hand in a wave. I raise mine back, but something about the gesture feels off. The water from her hose pools darken the lawn, not soaking, just sitting there like the ground is rejecting it. The grass looks sick. The kid presses against my hip, small shoulder warm through my t-shirt. The gnomes moved, he whispers. I blink. What? They're facing the wrong way. Yesterday they looked at the street. Now they're all looking at the factory. I squint past the glass. Sure enough, the 7 gnomes have their stupid painted eyes fixed eastward, toward the industrial district. Their frozen smiles are pointed at the smokestacks, where clouds hang heavy and low. When did that happen? I mutter. Mrs. Patterson is obsessive about those things. I've seen her straighten them after storms, line them up like soldiers. Maybe the wind. There wasn't any wind last night. His tone is flat, certain, the way only a kid can say something. And they're too heavy. Remember when I tried to move one? I nearly broke my foot. The memory surfaces, his scream, the toppled gnome, the weight of 40 pounds of ceramic I struggled to set upright. No 8-year-old could shift one by accident. The taste sharpens again. I realize I've been breathing shallow, through my mouth, like I can outsmart it. But it's inescapable. It rides the air itself. And then, like a reel of film catching in the projector, an old memory jumps into focus. My grandfather. His hands, brown and cracked like cured leather, pointing at storm clouds over a cornfield. Trust your nose before your eyes, he'd told me, pipe smoke curling around him. Animals know. Indians knew. Machines don't know a damn thing. He proved it too. Smelled snow in August. Packed up the truck before the broadcast warnings, before the county got buried in a blizzard that trapped families in their homes for a week. He was right every time. I taste the air again now and think of him. The kid tugs at my shirt. It's like when I bit the thermometer. What? You remember last year? It broke in my mouth. The silver stuff. Mercury. The word drops heavy in my mind. Cold. Poisonous. His description is too perfect. I kneel, study him. His cheeks look pale, Or maybe it's the light through the blinds. His hands fidget at his throat, rubbing like he's trying to scratch something away. We should go inside, I say automatically. We are inside. Right. Of course we are. I open the window just a crack, and the world rushes in. The metallic taste explodes, stronger than ever, like licking a soldering iron. The kid recoils, coughing into his cereal-stained sleeve. Mrs. Patterson glances our way, smiling too wide. Beautiful morning, isn't it? She calls, host still dripping over her roses. Radio says we might get rain later. Her roses sag like they've been poisoned. The gnomes stare east. The radio drones its cheerful lie. The kid whispers at my side. Ask her about the gnomes. But I don't, because suddenly, I'm not sure I want her answer. By the time I've rinsed the cereal bowls and stacked them in the sink, the gnomes have moved again. Not far, just a few inches each, a subtle shift you'd miss if you weren't looking. But the kid's eyes are sharper than mine. He points through the window with the solemnity of a witness giving testimony. See, that one with the yellow hat, he was in front of the roses before. Now he's closer to the walkway. I follow his finger. He's right. The gnome with the yellow hat leans forward now, its painted eyes tilted more directly toward the factory stacks, like it's trying to get a clearer view. I rub the back of my neck. Maybe Mrs. Patterson's just redecorating. She never moves them during the day, the kid says. He's certain. Only after storms. And it didn't storm. The kid's confidence makes my stomach twist. He's noticed things I've ignored. Maybe I've trained myself not to see them, because noticing means admitting. Outside, Mrs. Patterson bends over her roses. Her cardigan hangs off her frame, too heavy for this kind of humid morning. She talks softly to the plants as she waters them, her lips moving in rhythms I can't quite hear. Prayers maybe, or excuses. Let's go ask, the kid says suddenly. What? No. Finish your breakfast. I'm not hungry. Neither am I. The metallic taste in the air has killed appetite, replacing it with nausea and suspicion. He's already sliding off the chair, bare feet slapping the floor. I have no choice but to follow him, towel still in hand from wiping down the counter. The air outside feels heavier, like syrup coating my throat. Even the porch wood creaks different under my weight, as if it's been soaking in the same poison. Mrs. Patterson looks up, startled as we approach. Then her smile flicks on, bright as her gnome's painted faces. Morning, neighbors. Isn't it beautiful? Beautiful isn't the word. The sky has dulled to a strange pewter shade, neither overcast nor sunny. The kind of light that flattens everything, removes depth, makes the world look like a photograph that's been overexposed. Your gnomes, the kid says bluntly. They moved. For just a second, her smile wavers. Her eyes flick toward the garden, then back to us. Oh, the wind must have shifted them. There wasn't any wind. Well, maybe it came in the night, while you were sleeping. The kid narrows his eyes, unimpressed. They're too heavy. They don't just slide around. Her smile sharpens just a fraction. Things aren't always as heavy as they look, dear. She turns back to her roses, cutting off the conversation. Water spills from the hose in a weak trickle, pooling dark around the stems. The smell rising from the soil is wrong, like wet pennies mixed with rot. I try to salvage politeness. They're looking good this year. Her laugh is thin. They'll come back. They always do. The kid tugs my hand. Let's go. I let him pull me away, but not before I glance once more at the gnomes. Their faces haven't changed, but it feels like they're watching me now, not just the factory. Back inside, the kid slams the door harder than necessary. She lied. She probably doesn't even realize they moved. I say, though the words feel hollow. She knows. She knows something's wrong. I can't argue. Not when my own tongue tastes like I've been chewing aluminum foil. The refrigerator hums louder than usual, the kind of vibration that sets teeth on edge. I open it for distraction, for reassurance. The milk carton sits where it should. The apples are still bright red, but the smell of metal greets me before I can close the door again. I shut it harder than necessary. The kid sits cross-legged on the floor, arms wrapped tight around his knees. He looks small, fragile, dwarfed by the kitchen that suddenly feels hostile. Why do the gnomes face the factory? He asks quietly. I don't answer. Because I don't know. By mid-morning, the roses across the street have sagged into full surrender. The petals hang like wet tissue paper, translucent veins exposed. The soil beneath them has stained darker, as though the earth itself is bruising. I watch from the blinds, chewing on my thumbnail. Every few minutes I check the radio, hoping for something new. Each time it's the same syrupy reassurance, routine maintenance, normal parameters, nothing to worry about. But the gnomes tell a different story. They're not just facing the factory anymore. Their alignment has shifted further, subtle but undeniable. They're in a neat row now, shoulder to shoulder like soldiers watching for orders. "Dad," the kid whispers from behind me. "They're guarding her house." He's right. They've formed a perimeter, a line along the edge of Mrs. Patterson's property, facing outward. "Maybe it's just her idea of fun," I say, but even I don't believe it. The kid shakes his head. It's like they know where the bad air comes from. The words crawl under my skin. I want to laugh, to dismiss it, but the sound won't come. Because when I inhale, the metallic taste deepens, thickens. It feels directed, like the air itself is pointing fingers. At noon, Mrs. Patterson is back on her porch with the radio louder than ever. Static swallows most of it, but the words "safe" and "normal" cut through. She nods along, as though her agreement makes it true. The kid stands beside me at the window. She hears it too. She just pretends it's fine. I don't answer. My eyes are on the gnomes, which seem to stand taller now, shadows stretched across the dying grass. And for the first time, I swear I see them leaning, not blown by wind, not shifted by hands, but leaning forward as if listening. Grandfather's voice drifts back to me the way smoke lingers long after the fire's out. "Trust your nose before your eyes. Eyes can be tricked." He used to say it every autumn when clouds rolled across the fields. I thought it was one of those sayings old men cling to, like polishing boots that haven't touched dirt in years. But he believed it with the weight of a religion. Now, standing in my kitchen with the blinds drawn against the sickly light outside, I taste pennies on my tongue and think maybe he was the only sane man I ever knew. The kid sits at the table with his chin propped in his palms. His cereal bowl is a graveyard of bloated flakes, abandoned halfway through. He hasn't asked for cartoons or the tablet or even juice. He just stares at the window, where pale sunlight falls flat across the blinds. "Can you still taste it?" I ask. He nods. "It's worse when I breathe through my nose." I test it. Inhale deep, through nostrils that already feel burned raw. The taste sharpens instantly, metallic and hot, like pressing a battery against your tongue. I cough, which makes the kid flinch. "Grandpa said your body knows before your brain." I mutter, mostly to myself. The kid's eyes flick toward me. "What does that mean?" "It means," I pause. "How do you explain to a child that instinct might matter more than government broadcasts? It means when something feels wrong, you listen to that first." He nods solemnly, accepting it as gospel. Outside, Mrs. Patterson's gnomes haven't budged since morning, still aligned like a squad facing the factory. Her roses sag further, petals curling like burned paper. The hose lies abandoned in the yard, dripping into mud that looks darker every time I glance at it. The factory stacks send up a steady ribbon of gray. Officially, the place is shut down for inspection. But the smoke doesn't lie. I pull the portable radio from the cabinet, the one with grandfather's scrawled frequencies taped to the side. The dial clicks beneath my fingers, past static, past advertisements. Then, routine maintenance at Facility 7 continues as scheduled. No cause for alarm. Atmospheric readings remain within normal parameters. The voice drones flat, mechanical. Could be a man, could be a machine. Could be a recording on loop since yesterday, or last week, or last year. Facility 7. I mouth the words like they might taste different than the air. I've lived in this town my whole life, and I've never heard anyone call it that. We have a power station, a water plant, a tech park. Nothing with a number. The kid leans closer, voice hushed. "They're lying." I don't answer. Around noon, I take a cautious step onto the porch. The air outside hits harder, heavier, pressing on my chest. It's not just metallic, it's electric, like breathing sparks. My tongue aches. The kid hovers behind me, holding the door frame like it might anchor him to safety. "Does it taste different out there?" "Worse," I admit. Mrs. Patterson waves from across the street. Her smile is bright, but her free hand scratches at the skin under her chin. Even from here, I can see the redness blooming along her neck. She lifts her radio higher, as if the words it spits out can shield her. "Routine disturbance," she calls cheerfully. It'll pass. I force a smile back, then retreat inside before the taste can root deeper in my throat. The rest of the afternoon stretches long, filled with tiny betrayals of normal life. The refrigerator rattles like it's straining against invisible weight. The ceiling fan clicks even though the blades spin smoothly. Shadows seem longer than they should be, curling into corners with slow patience. The kid asks for water. I pour it from the tap. He takes one sip, then pushes the glass away. It tastes like the air, he says. I try it. He's right. The metallic tang laces even the water now, threading through every swallow. I dump the rest down the drain, where it swirls dark before vanishing. Bottled water, I mutter, rifling through the cupboard. We have half a case left from last month's grocery run. 6 bottles, maybe 7. Not nearly enough if this keeps going. The kid watches me line them up on the counter. We should save them. He says it with the seriousness of a soldier, and I nod because there's nothing else to say. By evening, the taste hasn't lessened. If anything, it's thicker, settling at the back of the throat. Every breath carries weight, like inhaling fine dust. The radio keeps looping the same message. Normal parameters. Routine maintenance. But my body disagrees. My head aches dull and constant, my chest feels tight, and my saliva tastes like rust. The kid has developed a cough, light but insistent, like his lungs are trying to spit something out. Grandfather's voice grows louder in memory. Trust your nose before your eyes. So I try. I close my eyes and breathe slow, shallow, deliberate. The taste isn't just metallic. It's layered, copper on the surface, but underneath something sharp and chemical, like ozone before a lightning strike. It doesn't feel like weather. It feels like poison. When I open my eyes again, the world looks flatter, grayer. My nose runs, my teeth ache, and the kid stares at me like he's waiting for a decision. What now? He asks. Good question. Night creeps in without ceremony. The streetlights buzz on, haloed by faint mist I don't remember seeing before. The gnomes stand in silence, faces tilted toward the factory, their shadows stretching long across the dying roses. I turn the radio off. The silence that follows is louder than the static. The kid curls on the couch, blanket wrapped around him, damp cough rattling his chest. I sit beside him, hand on his shoulder, staring through blinds that seem thinner than ever. In the distance, the smokestacks burn red in the twilight, their plumes twisting higher, wider, drifting over our neighborhood like a shroud. Grandfather's warning pulses in my ears. Trust your nose before your eyes. The air tastes like the end of something, and my body knows it. The neighborhood always used to feel small in the comforting way. Everyone's porch light within shouting distance, every lawn cut to the same height, every dog barking like it owned the block. Now it feels small in a different way, like the air itself is shrinking, pressing us closer together, daring us to acknowledge what's wrong. I tell myself I'm just checking in, doing the responsible thing. But really, I'm looking for confirmation. Proof that I'm not imagining the metallic tang that sticks to every breath. Proof that Mrs. Patterson's gnomes aren't the only sign something is shifting under the surface. The kid comes with me, clutching the hem of my shirt. His cough has settled into a rhythm, a punctuation mark on the silence between us. We start with Mrs. Henderson, 3 houses down. Her screen door rattles when I knock, aluminum mesh trembling against my knuckles. Mrs. Henderson? It's me from next door. For a moment, only the sound of her television leaks through the thin walls, daytime talk shows with voices too bright for the hour. Then the volume dips, and I hear her slippers scuff across hardwood. The door cracks open just enough for one watery eye to appear behind the chain. What is it? Have you noticed anything strange in the air? My throat burns as I ask it. Taste? Smell? Metallic? Her eye blinks. She clears her throat, but the sound is thick, clogged. Must be the water, she says finally. It's been off tasting since yesterday. The city tested it, though. Said it's fine. The kid steps forward, voice small but direct. It's not just the water. Mrs. Henderson's gaze softens the way adults always do with children, but her answer doesn't change. Stay indoors today, she advises. Just in case. The door shuts. Locks engage. The television volume swells back up. We stand there a moment longer, the kid's hand warm in mine. Then we turn away. She's scared, he says quietly. I nod. So am I. Next stop, Mr. Kowalski's. His place always looked like the block's backbone: fresh paint, sharp lawn edges, porch light that burns steady every night. But today, the siding peels in curling strips, and the porch swing creaks without wind to push it. And then there's the sound. Thunk, thunk, thunk. Steady, mechanical, coming from somewhere deep in the house. Like a hammer striking wood. Too precise to be accident, too relentless to be comfort. I knock. The sound cuts off instantly, like someone flipped a switch. The silence afterward is worse. "Mr. Kowalski?" My voice echoes strange against the peeling paint. "You home?" No answer. The kid tugs at my shirt. "Look at his garden." I do. The vegetable plot that usually bursts green this time of year looks sick. Tomatoes droop like balloons losing air. Bean vines curl inward, their leaves spotted brown like old bruises. "Something's killing them," I murmur. Thunk, thunk, thunk. It resumes, faster now, urgent, like the house itself is sending a message. We leave without knocking again. By the time we circle back toward home, Mrs. Patterson is already waiting on her porch. Coffee mug in her hands, steam curling up into the tainted air. Her cardigan looks heavier than before, buttoned high despite the sticky warmth. "Heard you've been visiting," she says. Her smile is bright, brittle. "Neighborhood watch, huh?" "Just checking in," I say. "People are noticing things." She tilts her head, the steam from her cup drifting across her face. For a second, I swear the scent that reaches me isn't coffee at all. It's copper, sharp and metallic, the same taste coating my tongue. "Air's fine," she says. "Radio says so." Her hand slides up her throat, rubbing the red patch that wasn't there yesterday. Just a routine disturbance. Her eyes track the kid's small hand tightening around mine. Something shifts in her expression, the kind of flicker predators get when they spot a weakness. "I've got supplies," she adds casually. "Masks, filters, bottled water." My chest lifts with sudden hope. "Could we?" "Not yet." She cuts me off smoothly. "Not unless it's necessary. Supplies don't last if you hand them out every time someone panics about the weather." The kid whispers, just loud enough for me to hear. "Ask about the gnomes." Mrs. Patterson's smile freezes. The mug trembles in her grip. "What about them?" "They moved," the kid says. "They're facing the factory." Her eyes flash. "Wind." There wasn't any wind. Must have been. Things don't move themselves. Her words sound rehearsed, memorized, like she's reciting them from a script. But she doesn't glance at her garden once. Steam curls around her face. She sips from the mug, though I swear the smell of coffee is gone. The gnomes remain in formation, their painted eyes fixed on distant smokestacks. Back home, I pull out the emergency binder from the junk drawer. The papers feel wrong between my fingers, too smooth, too fresh, like they were printed yesterday. "Stay indoors," the sheet instructs. "Monitor broadcasts. Wait for official evacuation orders." The kid leans over the table. "What if the rules are wrong?" I hesitate. The words that want to come out, they're never wrong. That's why they're rules, stick in my throat. Finally, sometimes the rules don't keep up. He nods slowly, like he already suspected. "Then we do Grandpa's rules." "Grandpa's rules?" "Trust your nose before your eyes." His voice is steady. Mine shakes when I agree. That night, the thunking from Kowalski's house echoes across the street. Henderson's windows glow blue from television light. Mrs. Patterson's radio drones cheerfully about normal atmospheric conditions. But the air tastes like rust and ozone, and something else I can't name. The neighborhood feels smaller than ever. Like we're all trapped in the same shrinking room, breathing the same poisoned air, waiting for sirens that never come. By morning, the cough in the kid's chest has deepened. It's not violent yet, just a rasp threaded through every exhale, but it gnaws at me more than the metallic taste coating my mouth. He sleeps on the couch, blanket pulled to his chin, one small fist clutching the fabric like a lifeline. I stand at the window, blinds tilted enough to watch Mrs. Patterson's house without being obvious. She's already outside, cardigan buttoned tight despite the muggy heat, roses sagging further under her hose. The gnomes haven't moved since yesterday, still aligned like sentries, staring toward the factory. But now something new glints in her window. Boxes. Stacked neatly, labels facing outward. Even from this distance I can read some water purification tablets. Respiratory protection. Potassium iodide, adult dosage. And hanging from a coat rack in plain view, 3 full-face respirator masks. The kind you don't buy unless you're preparing for contamination. I tell myself not to overreact. She could have had them for years. Old Cold War habits. Maybe a family member with asthma. Maybe she's just cautious. But then she steps onto her porch, coffee mug in hand, and I see the pale blue strap across her face. A mask, one of the disposable types you wear for sanding projects or pollen. She's already wearing it. She waves when she sees me, cheerful as always. Her smile strains against the fabric, visible only in the squint of her eyes. I cross the street before I can talk myself out of it. "Morning," she calls, muffled through cloth. Her voice is too bright, too quick. I nod toward her window. "You've got supplies." She follows my gaze, then steps deliberately into my line of sight, blocking the view. "Just being prepared. Better safe than sorry, right? Where'd you get those?" "Catalog. Years ago. You know me, Girl Scout for life." She laughs, but the sound is brittle. Her fingers tighten around the mug, knuckles pale. The kid appears at my side, rubbing his throat with one hand. His eyes flick to the respirators hanging in the window. "Can we borrow one?" he asks softly. For the first time, Mrs. Patterson's smile falters. Then it returns, sharper. "Well, I can't just hand them out. There aren't enough to go around. You'd rather keep them in a window than help your neighbors?" The words come out harsher than I intend. Her eyes narrow above the mask. "Help is complicated. You give things away too soon, and suddenly you're the supply center. Everyone comes knocking. And when the real emergency hits," she lifts her mug toward the sky, toward the smokestacks, "you're empty-handed." The kid squeezes my hand. I feel the bones of his fingers, too fragile, too warm. "Grandpa said rules don't matter if they don't keep you safe," he whispers. Mrs. Patterson tilts her head, listening. "Smart boy. But smarts only get you so far. You need resources. You need leverage." "Leverage?" I repeat. She nods once. "Information, for example. Who's got bottled water? Who's stocked up? Who's hiding something in their basement? That kind of knowledge is worth more than currency when the air goes sour. You want me to spy on our neighbors?" "Don't say it like that." Her smile widens behind the mask, eyes gleaming. "Think of it as community awareness. You tell me who's ready, who's not, and maybe, I let you borrow one of my masks when it matters." The word borrow makes my stomach twist. The kid tugs my arm. "Ask her about the gnomes." I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't. But the question leaps from my tongue before I can stop it. "Why are they facing the factory?" Her body stiffens. The mug rattles against its saucer. "Wind," she says quickly. "There wasn't any wind," the kid answers. His voice is steady, certain. "They're heavy," I add. "They don't just turn." Her laugh comes out wrong, high-pitched, forced. Maybe I moved them myself and forgot. I've been distracted lately. She won't look at the gnomes. Won't even glance at her roses, now little more than blackened stems. Instead, she leans closer, lowering her voice. "The radio's lying, you know." The words stop me cold. "What?" Her eyes dart left, right, checking the empty street. "Those stacks have been smoking since Sunday. The broadcast says routine maintenance, but this," she gestures at her garden, at her mask, at her gnomes. "This isn't maintenance. It's fallout." The word hangs heavy between us. Fallout. The kid's hand tightens around mine until it hurts. Mrs. Patterson lowers her mug. Her smile stretches wider, teeth flashing behind the flimsy mask. "So you see why I can't give these away. Survival means choosing who you trust. And I don't know if I trust you yet." Her eyes linger on me, then shift to the kid. That calculating look again. Measuring. Weighing. "Come back when you have information," she says lightly, turning back toward her door. "And maybe we'll talk about sharing." Back across the street, the kid whispers, "She's not going to help us." I don't answer. My throat burns too much to try. We pass her garden. The gnomes remain in perfect line, 7 faces tilted toward the factory. Their painted eyes catch the light, gleam for just a second. I can't shake the feeling they're smiling at me. Not the way decorations should smile. The way predators do. The sirens should have sounded by now. That's what gnaws at me most as the afternoon drags itself into evening. Those speakers bolted to telephone poles at every corner, installed for tornado warnings and school lockdowns. They've always been our safety net, the promise that when danger came, we wouldn't be left alone. But they remained silent. Instead, the radio repeats its mantra every 15 minutes, flat and steady. Routine maintenance at Facility 7, atmospheric readings normal, no cause for alarm. The words don't change, not a single syllable. It's a loop, like a scratched record skipping back to the beginning. And outside my window, the factory smokestacks send up black threads of smoke against a sky that shifts colors it shouldn't. Yellow one moment, pewter the next, then a kind of bruised purple that reminds me of healing flesh. The sky lies. The kid and I sit at the kitchen table, emergency binder spread open between us. The papers don't help. Stay indoors, one says. Monitor official channels. Another, wait for evacuation orders. But evacuation orders don't come. The channels lie. And indoors isn't safety when every breath tastes like rust. The kid flips the pages with careful fingers, as if some hidden answer might be written in the margins. What if they don't tell us to leave? I don't look up from the window. They will. But what if they don't? His voice is small, thin. Grandpa said rules don't matter if they don't keep you safe. He's right. He's too right. Around 6, I crack the front door to test the air. A gust slaps me in the face, warm, metallic, carrying a sharpness that makes my teeth ache. My tongue floods with copper before I can shut the door again. The kid coughs from the couch. It's deeper now, wetter. The sound turns my stomach. I wet 2 dish towels at the sink, hand one to him. Hold this over your mouth and nose. It'll help. He obeys, but within minutes the fabric darkens, the blue dye shifting toward gray-brown like it's pulling something from the air. He pulls it away, coughing harder. It makes it worse. He's right. The towel smells like concentrated pennies. My own lungs burn worse when I try it. We drop them both on the floor, where they land with a wet slap. Too heavy for terry cloth. Too final. Dusk falls. The neighborhood feels like it's sinking into itself. Henderson's blinds glow blue, her television volume cranked loud enough to mask whatever's happening outside. Kowalski's house ticks with its steady thunk, 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 unchanged, mechanical. Mrs. Patterson, though, she's different. I see her through the window, moving between shelves stacked high with supplies. She wears one of her respirators now, full face, filters jetting out like insect mandibles. She doesn't wave anymore when she catches me watching. She just stares, head tilted, like she's measuring how long I'll last without what she has. Her gnomes remain in formation, staring at the factory. Their shadows stretch long across the lawn, twisting under the sick sky. School, the kid whispers suddenly. I turn. He's pulled his blanket tighter, eyes wide. We should go to the school. It has a basement. Remember the tornado drills? The thought slams into me like cold water. The school, yes. Reinforced concrete. Old bomb shelter in the basement, relic from the Cold War. We used to joke about it during PDA meetings, a piece of history with no use anymore. But maybe it's the only safe place left. North, I say more to myself than him. We'd have to go north. But my memory splinters. Wasn't the south route safer? The quarry? The coordinator at last spring's meeting had said something about natural barriers. I try to picture the handout, the red arrows. It blurs. North, I repeat, forcing it. School's closer. The kid nods, trusting me too easily. That trust is heavier than any gnome, heavier than any rulebook. The sky darkens into full night. But it's not the kind of darkness that hides. It glows faintly, sickly, like the world itself is bruised. The smokestacks flare red, as if lit from within. Their plumes spread wide, carried on a wind that doesn't touch the trees. Inside, the radio crackles on its own, though I'd switched it off hours ago. Routine maintenance, no cause for concern, normal atmospheric parameters. The voice is warped now, distorted, like the machine is struggling to hold the lie together. I smash the power button, but the words echo in my head anyway. Normal. Routine. Safe. Meanwhile, the kid coughs until his cheeks flush, and the taste of metal thickens until swallowing feels like chewing on coins. The sky lies. The radio lies. The silence of the sirens is the loudest lie of all. I tuck the kid into his blanket, though neither of us will sleep. He curls against me on the couch, small chest rising and falling with each ragged breath. Through the blinds, I watch Mrs. Patterson's gnomes. In the glow of her porch light, I swear I see them tilt forward, as though leaning closer to the factory listening. The factory lights flare. The sky pulses. And all I can think is, when the sirens finally come, it will already be too late. The sirens never sound. All night I wait for them, ears straining through the hum of the fridge and the kids' ragged coughs. I expect that shrill wail any second, the one drilled into us since childhood tornado drills, the one meant to slice through routine and say, run, now. But silence stretches on. The only rhythm comes from across the street, Kowalski's steady thunk 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 from his house, like he's hammering nails into a coffin that keeps growing. Henderson's television runs at full volume. Muffled voices of game show hosts laughing too loud. Mrs. Patterson's weather radio hisses static between its lies. And above all that, the factory. The smokestacks glow faint red, as though each is a burning cigar held in the mouth of something too big to see. Their plumes smear the night sky until even the stars are gone. The kid sits up on the couch, blanket slipping to the floor. His hair clings damp to his forehead. "We should go," he whispers. "To the school?" He nods. His voice cracks when he adds, "Basement's safer than here." I don't argue. He's right. But when I picture the evacuation map, the arrows blur again. North to the school, south to the quarry, east to the interstate. 3 choices, none of them certain. Which was safest? Which was suicide? I rub my temple. North feels right. The kid stares at me. "Are you sure?" I want to say yes. The word forms heavy and hot, but I can't release it. Instead I say, it's closer. Sometimes closer means safer. Sometimes it means faster death. We pack quickly. 2 bottles of water, 1 flashlight, a blanket, the emergency binder even though its advice is useless. I shove everything into an old backpack that still smells faintly of pencil shavings from the kids' school days. "Shoes," I say. The kid obeys without complaint, slipping sneakers onto feet pale from staying indoors. He coughs once, twice, then clamps a hand over his mouth like he doesn't want me to hear. When I open the front door, the air hits us like a slap. The metallic taste is overwhelming now, not just copper but something sharper, like biting into a live wire. My teeth ache instantly. My throat constricts. The kid gags, then pulls the blanket over his face. Across the street, Mrs. Patterson stands on her porch, respirator covering her entire face. Her eyes glint through the mask's clear plastic. She doesn't wave. She doesn't call out. She just watches us, still as her gnomes. The gnomes themselves, they've moved again. They're no longer in formation facing the factory. Now they form a line along the property edge, shoulder to shoulder, all 7 turned toward our house. Their painted eyes gleam in the porch light, locked on us. "Dad," the kid whispers from behind the blanket. They know we're leaving. I want to laugh, to dismiss it, but the words stick in my throat. Because he's right, they do look like they're waiting. We step off the porch. The lawn crunches underfoot, brittle as frostbitten grass, even though it hasn't been cold in weeks. The smell rises stronger out here, wet metal mixed with rot, thick enough to make my stomach clench. A block away, the sirens loom overhead, bolted to their poles, mute and useless. Their silence feels intentional, like a betrayal. I glance back once more. Mrs. Patterson hasn't moved. The respirator hides her expression, but I know she's smiling. We head north toward the school. The streetlights flicker as we pass, halos glowing greenish-yellow through the haze. The air feels heavier the farther we walk, as if the neighborhood itself doesn't want to let us go. Every step grinds the metallic taste deeper into my tongue. My gums throb. My teeth feel loose. The kid clings to my hand. His cough rattles louder in the night. "Keep going," he whispers, like he's afraid stopping even for a second will trap us here forever. Halfway to the corner, I freeze. The roses in Mrs. Henderson's yard have collapsed entirely, petals melted into black sludge. The soil bubbles faintly, releasing a steam that carries the same electric tang. The kid gags behind his blanket. It smells like batteries. He's right. A sulfurous edge rides the metallic taste now, sharp enough to sting my eyes. We hurry past, not daring to knock. Henderson's blinds glow blue, but the house feels abandoned. At the next block, the thunking from Kowalski's place grows louder, faster. Thunk, 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 thunk. Then silence. A shadow moves behind his curtain. For a moment, I swear I see a face pressed against the glass. Then it's gone. The kid squeezes my hand harder. "Don't stop." We don't. By the time we reach the corner, my lungs feel scorched. The air scrapes down my throat like sandpaper. Each inhale is work, each exhale a cough. I glance north. The school sits somewhere beyond the haze, concrete walls waiting, basement shelter locked behind metal doors. I tell myself it's still there, still safe. But the road stretches long, choked with the same greenish fog rising from the soil. No cars, no people, just the hum of distant machinery and the crackle of power lines above. The kid looks up at me, eyes wide, lips tinged blue. "Please," he whispers. I nod, even though doubt claws at me. We keep walking. The sirens never come. Only the taste, heavier with every step. Only the silence of a neighborhood collapsing inward, houses locked tight, neighbors vanishing into their own lies. Only the gnomes, waiting back at Mrs. Patterson's, watching us go with smiles that don't fade. The night folds over us like damp cloth. We never make it to the school. My lungs give out before we're halfway there, each breath scraping like rusted nails. The kid stumbles beside me, coughing so hard his whole frame shudders. I can't keep dragging him through air that tastes like pennies boiled in battery acid. So we go back. Home doesn't feel like home anymore, but it's shelter, or the closest thing left to it. The house greets us with silence. The refrigerator has stopped humming, its motor choked into stillness. The clock above the stove ticks irregularly, skipping beats. Even the lights feel sick, dim, buzzing faintly, their glow more shadow than illumination. The kid collapses on the couch, clutching his chest. His lips have gone pale, his breath shallow. I kneel beside him, smoothing damp hair from his forehead, whispering lies about how everything's going to be fine. But the lies taste like the air. Metallic. Wrong. When I finally glance outside, the gnomes are waiting. They've moved again. Not toward the factory this time, not in neat rows. Now they're lined along the edge of Mrs. Patterson's lawn, facing our house. 7 painted faces. 7 fixed smiles. They look like jurors waiting for a verdict. The kid stirs, following my gaze. His voice is small, cracked. Why are they looking at us now? I don't answer. I don't have an answer. Past the gnomes, the factory flares. The smokestacks glow brighter than ever, tips burning red like cigarettes dragged too long. The plumes don't drift anymore. They roll downward, sinking toward the houses, thick enough to smother the streetlights. The sky itself seems to collapse, clouds folding in on themselves like a wound trying to close. Every breath burns. The neighbors change, too. Mrs. Henderson stands on her porch at last, no television laugh track to shield her. Her eyes are wide, her skin gray. She whispers words I can't hear, lips moving in frantic rhythm like she's reciting prayers from memory. Kowalski's thunking stops. His door creaks open, and for a heartbeat I see him silhouetted, body bent at angles that don't look human. He sways once, then retreats, slamming the door. And Mrs. Patterson, she stands behind her curtain, respirator covering her face. She watches me through the glass, head tilted. Her gnomes smile outside. She doesn't wave. Her eyes shine like she's already made peace with whatever bargain she struck. Inside, the kid pulls the blanket tighter. Are we leaving or staying? The question breaks me. Leave, and we step into poison. Stay, and we choke slowly in our own living room. Both choices end the same way. I don't know, I admit. My voice cracks. I don't know anymore. The kid doesn't cry. He just nods, solemn, like he's older than he should be. The night deepens. Hours stretch. The air grows heavier until every inhale feels like drowning. At some point, the radio clicks on again by itself. Atmospheric disturbance under control, routine maintenance. Remain indoors until further notice. The words are warped now, voices layered wrong, as if neighbors themselves are speaking through the static. I swear I hear Patterson's tone woven in. Henderson's rasp. Kowalski's grunt. The neighborhood itself lying to us. Near midnight, the gnomes advance. Not by walking, not in motion I can see. But every time I glance through the blinds, they're closer. First at the edge of her lawn, then halfway across the street. Then at our curb, 7 faces glowing under the streetlight. Their shadows stretch long, reaching toward the house. The kid buries his face in my chest. Don't look at them, he whispers. I hold him tighter, but I keep looking. I can't stop. The factory lights flare one final time, flooding the neighborhood in a sickly red. The air hums with electricity, low and constant, vibrating in my teeth. The kid coughs, a wet rattle that shakes his whole body. His eyes are glassy, his skin pale as paper. "I don't like it here," he gasps. "Neither do I." But the choices have collapsed into the same narrow corridor. Stay or go, breathe in or hold your breath. Everything ends with the same taste of metal. At the window, the gnomes stand in a perfect line on my lawn now, facing the house. Their smiles glint in the red light, and behind them, the neighbors murmur. Voices drift on the poisoned air, flat and rehearsed, words repeating in unison. Normal parameters. Routine disturbance. Stay indoors. Their tones don't match their mouths. It's like the words are being fed into them, pushed out of throats that don't want to say them. The neighborhood has become a chorus of lies. I pull the kid closer, press his face into my shoulder. My own lungs burn, my chest tight. Each breath feels like swallowing coins. Through the blinds, the gnomes don't blink. The factory smolders. The sky hums. And I know, with the weight of a truth my grandfather would have recognized, there will be no sirens. Only choices that aren't choices. Stay in the collapsing house, or step into poisoned air. Either way, the end has already started.